Good evening. Thank you for attending this overview of the sex education for the Northeast Independent School District Association, which is the Sex Respect Coalition against this. And I'd like to ask, first of all, Valerie Garcia to come up, and we want to start our meeting like we do with all meetings, and that is prayer and pledge. So, Valerie.
Thank you. We'll say the prayer first. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
May God grant us the wisdom to discover the right, the will to choose it, and the strength to make it endure for the sake of children and long-term domestic prosperity. Amen.
Amen.
In the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Now the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please have a seat.
Thank you, Valerie. My name is Mike Konufke, and I'm with the coalition. My official capacity is a board member of the San Antonio Family Association. We are just one of the many associations in this coalition of Sex Respect Coalition. We are opposed to the way that the Northeast Independent School District has rolled this out. We want to start off this meeting, first of all, asking, are there any Northeast Independent School District employees or trustees here today? And if there are, we want to acknowledge you. We have reached out to them multiple times and asked them exactly what their curriculum is. They've indicated that we have misrepresented a couple of pieces of the material, and it is not our desire to do that. We want to represent it exactly as it is. But as of yet, we do not have any response, official response from the Northeast Independent School District. So keep that in mind. And so we make no representation here, no warranty whatsoever that this is all going to be exactly the way it is, nor are we going to represent that everything here, or the things they don't want, the child's not going to see. For the record, we don't believe there's a conspiracy here. We do not believe there's a conspiracy. Maybe a lapse of good judgment, perhaps a derelict of duty, but we do believe the decision was made without true facts. The ethics for school board members is an extensive ethics guide that they have that they all sign on to. And we believe they take this very seriously. And it's a guide of 100 and some odd pages. In that guide, first of all, it says the purpose of the trustee is to set policy. So we all know that policy needs to be congruent with their missions and their visions. But the next part is very interesting because in here it clearly states what their oath is. First of all, number one, I will tell the truth. This is the trustees. Number two, I shall share my views while working for consensus. You must have a board that comes to a consensus. We have no problem with that. Number three, I respect the majority decision as the decision of this board of trustees. No problem there. Even if you didn't really agree with it, once the decision is made, you're behind it. The last one is very interesting. I will base my decisions on facts rather than suppositions, opinions, or public favor. And like the old Wendy's commercial, if you remember it, the question was, where's the beef? Well, we believe that the trustees should have been asking, if they didn't, should have been asking, where are the facts? Where's the data to support all this proposed change? The data and the facts are not forthcoming. I've already mentioned that to us and to parents. We have yet to receive that. We have come to learn the Northeast Independent School District through the SHAC, which is the Student Health Advisory Committee, has been looking for a sex education program for 3 years, an extensive look. And we don't deny that. But let's stop right there. Why do we need this new program? What is the empirical facts that back up the fact that we need this program? And that is a question they have yet to answer. Teenage pregnancy rates here in San Antonio have not changed dramatically over the last 30 to 40 years. So what data do you have to back that up? So the evidence, the empirical evidence, doesn't appear that they have that. So is it possible that the Northeast Independent School District is doing this change here and not really understanding, not really just an impulse or perhaps a thought that they have, no real facts or data to back it up? We have a theory. You know, many of us learned about marketing in pictures and videos and values and even buying patterns and things of that nature are known as impressions. And a good example of impressions is Facebook. You know, if you look at Facebook, and if you're on Facebook, perceptions, posts, videos, pictures, etc. would lead me to believe that I have a very boring life. But my friends and family, they have an exciting life. And so those perceptions stick with us. So since we do not have that empirical evidence backed up by the board, is it possible that that perception is reality to them? And we believe that indeed is the case. So tonight, or today, what we hope to do is, by the time you leave here, we hope you will have a good understanding, form a good judgment on 4 areas. Number 1, is there evidence that indicate that there's a need for a program change like this? Number 2, should this be taught to 11, 12, 13, and sometimes 14-year-old children? Number 3, does draw the line, respect the line, which is the name of this, does it step over the line when it comes to sexual education? Number 4, of the 30-plus programs that are approved in Texas, why this program that is promoted by Planned Parenthood and some other issues? Why this one? So what we'd like to do is now show the video very quickly. And this video, for your benefit, is, according to the district, is not a piece of this. But this is what got our attention. Can you see her? Can you turn light back on?
It's okay.
It's easy to use condoms. When you know the right way to use them, they're more effective. And I guarantee that sex is better when both you and your partner know what you're doing with a condom. Both men and women need to know how to use condoms. So let's go over it. I'm going to show you how to put a condom on a partner. But these are the same steps that a guy would take when putting a condom on himself. Always use a latex condom. They're highly effective at preventing pregnancy, HIV, and other STDs. If you or your partner is allergic to latex, you can use a plastic condom instead. Check the expiration date on the package. If it's past the date, use a newer condom. The package should look new. If it looks worn or damaged, use a new condom. Press slightly on the package to make sure that it's airtight, with no holes or tears. If there's a leak of any kind, use a new condom. When you finish checking the package, you're ready to open the condom. Open it carefully. Teeth, fingernails, and other sharp objects can damage the condom. Take it out of the package and see which way it unrolls. The condom will unroll easily when it's facing this way, but not when it's facing this way. The condom goes on as soon as the penis is hard and erect. Let me get my assistant. Pinch the tip to leave about ½ inch at the end. This leaves room for the semen so that the condom doesn't break when the man ejaculates. Hold it against the head of the penis. Then with your other hand, unroll it all the way down to the base of the penis. You can use some water-based lube on the outside of the condom now if you want. And that's it. After ejaculation, after the guy comes, take the penis out while it's still hard. Hold the rim of the condom around the base as it's pulled out. Be careful not to spill any semen. Take the condom off away from the partner's body. You can tie off the end and throw it in the trash. Don't flush it down the toilet. That can clog up the plumbing. If you're gonna have sex again, use a new condom. Don't ever reuse a condom. How easy was that? Some condoms come lubricated, and others don't. Even with a lubricated condom, you might want to use some extra lube. Don't use oil-based lubes like Vaseline or lotion. Those can cause the condom to break. Be sure to use water-based lubes, like these. Some guys like to put a few drops in the tip before putting the condom on. But don't overdo it. Too much lube can make the condom fall off. Practice will help you feel comfortable and confident when using a condom. So make sure to get in lots of practice. Men can practice while masturbating. Women can use their imagination and practice on something that sort of looks like a penis. Remember, condoms help prevent pregnancy and STD, including HIV. Use a condom every time you have sex. Relax, stay safe, and have fun.
The district has indicated that they do not want to teach certain other areas that we want to make certain that we're clear about, like the prop of the penis there. What I want to do now is introduce, we have two speakers this evening. Kelly Gretschel is the first speaker. She's a concerned mother, and she is a mother of 3. She's a super mom. She does all kinds of things. She works full time, and she takes care of the kids, and here she is doing this. And Kelly's going to give us a better overview as to the program itself. Kelly?
Thank you, Mike. So, can you hear me okay? Great. Okay, so we're going to cover a lot of information today. So if you have questions or you're not sure, you can contact us at northeastisd.com and we can be happy to get back to you. Also, a little bit of housekeeping in these folders. There's some information in a packet. We'll need these at the end of the night, but they're just visual aids so that you can see what we're putting on the screen here a little bit more easily. Okay, so what is going on in Northeast ISD? Starts with the shack. They're the ones who recommend which curriculum to choose. From there, it goes to the school board, and that happened in May. They approved Draw the Line, Respect the Line. Now Draw the Line, Respect the Line will be implemented in the 2016-2017 school year. And then after they decide to send those forms home, you can opt in or opt out for your students. There is an activity for you to participate in if you opt out. So what is Northside going to teach? Well, we want to know the same question. They officially adopted the whole Draw the Line, Respect the Line program, but we don't know what kind of adaptions they may or may not use.
Okay.
Okay. And so we've asked and they haven't given us that information. But what we do know is the curriculum is written to be used as a whole in a particular order and with a specific objectives in that particular order. Today we'll take a look at some of those objectives. Okay, just so you know, Northeast ISD has responded a little bit to us, and what they have said is that the district will present only factual definitions of all types of sex. That should be interesting. And the consequences associated with engaging in types of sexual activity, and also that students will receive guidelines on the use of condoms as provided by the Centers of Disease Control. So we do know they do plan to talk about how to use a condom. That lesson, unfortunately, will not be skipped. Okay, the state of Texas has rules and guidelines on how you can teach sex ed. Every sex ed program must follow these. This is Texas Education Code 28.004. It outlines what you can and can't teach when it comes to sex ed. Right now, on number 2, it says we devote more attention to abstinence from sexual activity than any other behavior. Number 4 says direct adolescents to a standard of behavior in which abstinence from sexual activity before marriage is the most effective way to prevent pregnancy, STDs, and HIV. And then number 5, if you choose to teach about condoms, you must teach them in real rates, not theoretical laboratory rates, because in a lab they can control for many variables that you cannot control for in the real world, including 12-year-olds trying to put on a condom by themselves. And then last but not least, a school district shall make all curriculum materials used in the district human sexuality instruction available for reasonable public inspection. Okay, so does draw the line comply with Texas law? Is abstinence emphasized as the preferred choice? Is abstinence set as an expected standard of behavior for unmarried students? Is more attention devoted to condoms? Is condom effectiveness portrayed in human use reality or overemphasized as safe sex? And we hope that you can answer those questions for yourself by the end of this presentation. They have their objectives for grade 6. In grade 6, it's mostly learning how to set your own limits, like not smoking and saying no to alcohol. In grade 7, we move on to learning about STDs and practicing saying no some more. But then in 8th grade, we start talking about condoms. They have an HIV positive speaker or a video that they will watch, and it gets a little bit more, how can I say, controversial from there on out. Okay, this is the age group we're talking about. 11-year-olds, 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds, kids who are just now starting to hit that growth spurt. We're not talking about 17-year-olds who can drive. We're not talking about 16-year-olds who can get a job, or even 15-year-olds who can work at Chick-fil-A. These are children. Okay, at all 3 grade levels, Draw the Line treats sex as an eventuality that a child should be ready for by protecting themselves with condoms. In reality, sex under the age of 13 is illegal. Penal Code 22.11, it has determined without exception that a minor cannot consent to sex at the vulnerable age of 12. This law was put in place to protect children from being exploited and abused. Makes a lot of sense because if you have a 9-year-old having sex, then you might have some problems. They could be being abused or coerced. In fact, in general, a minor under the age of 17 cannot consent to sex. So really, even at the high school level, there's no law protecting that consent. A curriculum that truly wanted to protect children would reinforce these laws and help students understand when and where to get help. So if a 12-year-old is having sex, let's not hand them a condom and say this is how you put it on and continue to go back to your abuser, but instead talk about what are some of these factors that you might feel like you're being pressured into this or that you are legitimately being abused and where you can go from there. All right, I'm going to hand it over to Patrick, who will talk about some more of the sensational aspects of the curriculum.
Thank you, Kelly. Well, good evening. My name is Patrick Von Dolan, as Kelly mentioned. And one of the things to ask is, that Mike touched on as well, but why the need for this parent education seminar? All apparently what Northeast ISD has told me for years and has told us recently through this situation is all a parent has to do is opt out. And there's a form that Kelly will go through here in a little bit. And that's what I was told as a parent of 9 children, 7 who are in the Northeast Independent School District schools. All you have to do is opt out when I complained before about the curriculum. In this case, this is terrible and directed towards middle school, and we have to give these parent education seminars as a result. But one of the things that's interesting is Northeast Independent School District has a mission statement for students. And that's, we challenge and encourage each student to achieve and demonstrate academic excellence, technical skills, and responsible citizenship. How would I sum that up? I sum it up as a trustworthy Texan. Well, this mission statement is here in Northeast Independent School District spends a lot of time teaching a lot of good things in life skills. And they say these life skills should be there to serve them throughout their life, not just for a portion of life. And being a trustworthy Texan certainly would help you be in that situation. However, can you ever violate that? From that standpoint, can a life skill that's being taught actually violate that mission statement? And in this case, we believe they are. And thanks to Kelly for bringing this to our attention and making this happen to where we can help educate each of you parents. So who has rights in this situation? Children have rights to be protected and have safety, and to a virtuous education that's pursuing objective truth. Parents have rights. Parents have rights to know what their children are being taught and to have a say in that, and also to not be circumvented, not to have the parental authority be circumvented, and Kelly's going to touch on that here in a little bit, and that's why we're having these educational seminars. When does legitimate authority lose its authority? Because some would say in Northeast ISD they have this right to do. Matter of fact, one of the reasons that they've given us is that they have what's called EDS students. That's economically disadvantaged students, a high rapid growth rate. Matter of fact, they say Northeast ISD is if not the highest, one of the highest growing economically disadvantaged students in the city. Out of 16 school districts, not counting pre-K for SA, they are growing particularly inside the 410. So Northeast Independent School District extends down all the way up just north of downtown. And so they would say they have the authority to do it. Matter of fact, they say because parents, particularly of economically disadvantaged students, are not doing their job as parents, that they have to. And in this case, we believe they've overstepped their boundaries. And instead of having a mandate to do that, we believe in choosing this vice-ridden, this terribly promoting education that exploits children, that they overstep their authority, and particularly in not respecting a parent's ability to make a decision in regards to care, particularly after a sexual intercourse activity. So what kind of life skills do you want your children to learn and for the rest of their lives? Is the question to ask. But go back one, we'll come back here. Something that was disturbing in the video that you might have seen is two references, and the woman that's in the video actually referred to a man and then to men, and did refer to women one time. Now this video is part of ETR out of California, their sex education program for Draw the Line, Respect the Line. We ordered this kit, and it's an educator's kit. Now, in full disclosure, Northeast Independent School District Administration says this kit will not be used in teaching children. However, we don't know that because we have not seen everything that they're going to include and exclude from this evidence-based program. And a note on that, as a friend likes to remind us, is if they do not accept all of that curriculum and of an evidence-based program, they're not having fidelity to that program. And if they're not having fidelity to the program, it undermines the evidence, and therefore it's baseless. So, in regards to that, she's referred to a man twice and women once. This educational video is supposed to be geared towards 11 to 14-year-olds. So why would it be referring to man twice and woman once? Second is, one of the brochures that came with the video actually has a scattergram QR code, and over here to the left has a QR code where you use a smartphone and it'll take you to the website to see 3 videos. That was one of them. Above that, it says using condoms is like wearing a seatbelt all the time. Is like learning to wear a seatbelt all the time. It takes practice to make it a habit. Well, so Northeast Independent School District does a good job of teaching habits, good habits, virtues in that case. And I would say that's not one. While wearing a seatbelt is a good habit, learning to wear it and use a condom consistently is not, and not particularly for 11 to 14-year-olds. Okay, now you can go on to the next one with Kelly. Thank you. What are some of the life lessons taught by Northeast Independent School District? So their virtues or habits that are taught are leadership in me. They call it leadership in me. It's 7 habits of highly effective people. They term it for 11 to 14-year-olds, 7 habits of happy kids. And so it's from Stephen Covey's 7 habits. And they are, I'll be real quick, as you can read them, be proactive, because I'm in charge of myself and you're in charge of you. Begin with the end in mind, have a plan, put first things first, think win-win so everybody can win, seek first to understand and be understood, synergize, work better together, sharpen, solve for balance. The question is, do they teach these in each level of scholastic requirements? So elementary school, middle school, and high school. Are these all taught? And yes, they are. They're all taught consistently and candidly. It's a good thing. They also continue with set of habits to go to leading at the speed of trust. But then they go on to other virtues: compassion, responsibility, perseverance, self-discipline, honesty, respect, and giving. Each of these are taught at the elementary school age, middle school age, and high school age. Great consistency here. As a matter of fact, at the bottom, it's just, this proves that there's a desire for intellectual honesty and for scholastic consistency. And they achieve it by doing this. So why the divergence when it comes to sexual education is the question. And parents need to be asking themselves this: why the divergence? So if you go to the next slide there, Kelly. You have the one that has the risk avoidance examples. Oh, okay, very good. So, what's the change? And why the divergence is a good question, and we encourage all parents to ask it. Why the change in philosophy from what they call scientifically risk avoidance to a change to this new curriculum, draw the line, restrict line, is what they call risk reduction. The previous program was called Choose the Best Path, was risk avoidance. This new one that they've approved, draw the line, is risk reduction. So Kelly's put together a nice slide here, and risk reduction is a one-way street. And that could be a one-way street going up to your children's school where you drop them off. It's one way on purpose to have risk avoidance of accidents. It's not two-way, so when you have risk reduction, they want to prevent an accident from happening, so it's one way, and that makes sense. And so that's a good example of that, the difference between risk avoidance and risk reduction. You have no? Okay, so in evaluating the new curriculum, on the left you have SRA abstinence. So SRA is an acronym for sexual risk avoidance. Those are the technical terms for the abstinence program on the left. And on the right column you'll have SRR, comprehensive sexual risk reduction, is what that means, comprehensive. The code word for most of the contraception-based sex education is called comprehensive sex education, or CSE. So on the left, what's the purpose of abstinence education or sexual risk avoidance? It's to devote more than 50% of the page comment and content to promoting abstinence. And the focus is to risk elimination and reduce the risk and eliminate it. And its focused message, focused on marriage, is abstinence is best until marriage, as the best choice, the most healthiest choice for students. And that philosophy comes from the fact that if you don't have sex, the chance of contracting sexually transmitted diseases goes to 0%. It's the foolproof method. And up until this time, Northeast Independent School District had adopted that kind of program at the middle school level. And the behavioral goal is to delay sexual initiation, preferably until marriage. On the right-hand side, you have sexual risk reduction, or comprehensive sex education. And Kelly touched on this before in the Sex's Law statute says that all sex education, whether it's SRA, sexual risk avoidance, or SRR, sexual risk reduction, is supposed to, by legally, cover 50% or more on abstinence. In this case, most sexual risk reduction programs, including Draw the Line and Respect the Line, the new curriculum they've approved, is less than 50%. As a matter of fact, the majority of them are less than 5% cover abstinence. And because we have not received all the information we need to make an assessment there, we're not exactly sure on the assessment, but it's definitely less than 50% based on our research so far. The focus is risk reduction. It means that we know children are going to have sex anyway, so let's prepare to give them tools so they risk the chance of getting STDs, reduce the risk of getting pregnant, and it promotes contraceptive use. The message is mixed because condom use and sex with condom use is about equal to abstinence in the way it's phrased, and which is distorted in itself. So the philosophy is, as long as contraception is used, teen sex or even casual sex is unproblematic. Means it's okay. So the question is, also for parents need to ask themselves is, do we want our children being exposed to sexual activity before marriage, but particularly from 11 to 14-year-old to even have that thought? I can tell you from my own experience, my 11 to 14-year-olds have never thought about having a sexual experience. At least in a parent, from that standpoint, they've never shared that with me. No evidence in our history of raising these children that they've had any inclination for that. But what this does do is it plants a seed. We're constantly planting seeds in our children's mind, right, parents? We're constantly planting seeds, and those seeds can germinate to something good or germinate to something bad. In this case, this can germinate to something very bad in planting seeds that teens are having sex, and it's a normal thing. And so normalizing a behavior that's really best reserved for marriage and healthiest in that case. And the behavioral goal in this case of sexual risk reduction is increased contraceptive use, especially using condoms for middle school kids. And you see a note, the blue at the very bottom, is just because the sex ed curriculum emphasizes abstinence does not mean that condoms are not discussed. Rather, it is the way condoms are discussed that is important. So in this case, in the curriculum we've gone through before, particularly Kelly going through these pages, is that they'll throw abstinence on a page, but most of the page content is all about contraceptive use, in this case condoms. So it's misguided. It's leading in definitely less than 50% of the covering abstinence. So what are some other examples of risk avoidance versus risk reduction? I'm just going to give you a couple real quick. Something you think about is lice-free children. If a child knows they have lice, they're not to go to school. And so we want a safe, clean environment in that case. And versus a child with lice being allowed to go to school with a shower cap on. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense, does it? So that's risk avoidance to risk reduction. What are some other things that children, we know children might try and might do so anyway, whether we want them to or not. And how about drugs? How about alcohol? How about bullying? How about texting while driving? Each of those things, Northeast Independent School District does a great job of saying no texting and driving, no drinking and driving, no drugs, no alcohol, no bullying. And they're very, very good about that. We want to avoid that risk. It's excellent. But kids are going to do that anyway. We know that. So let's check this on for a measurement. Risk reduction. Take no smoking. No smoking cigarettes is risk avoidance. Change that to, well, if you're going to smoke, make sure you smoke filtered cigarettes. That's the difference between risk avoidance and risk reduction. No drugs. They're very good about promoting no drugs. But if you're going to use drugs, wear eye goggles. That would be changing risk avoidance to risk reduction. And the last one I'll share with you is no drinking and driving is risk avoidance, but kids are going to do it anyway. So make sure that if you're going to drink and drive, put the bottle in a brown paper bag. Again, it's risk reduction from that standpoint, and a change from risk avoidance. So that gives you some analogies to think about. So is this logical? I think everybody can agree here that no smoking, no drugs, no bullying, no drinking, driving, no texting, driving, all very logical. And certainly good things to promote because it promotes good behavior. However, when it comes to sex, it changes. And they change it from no sex, but if you're going to have sex, make sure you use a condom, or make sure you use some contraceptive, depending on if it's middle school or high school from that standpoint. So about 99% of all the Northeast Independent School District programs are all absolute. They're filled with no exceptions, no permissiveness, and no tolerance, except when it comes to sex. Now, where's the logic in that? So we would encourage you to ask, why the philosophical change? Parents ask the Northeast Independent School District Board of Trustees and the members of the Student Health Advisory Committee, SHAC, ask them, why the philosophical change? All the other good programs you have, no smoking and other risk avoidance, and change it for sex. Kids might try any of that anyway. So we want there to be intellectual honesty and scholastic consistency. So parents, you have to ask yourself, how do we want to find our children? Do we want our children to be exploited, or do we want them protected and taught something that's good for them to preserve their virtue and teach them life lessons that will last throughout their life that are good for them? Is that the last one, Phil? Okay, so let me go over a couple of other things real quick. And the last thing I'd like to share with you is when we were going through this, and Kelly brought this situation to our attention back earlier in the year, and before they voted on, and the school board of trustees voted on May 9th this year to pass unanimously Draw the Line, Respect the Line curriculum. Well, there was meetings before that we attended, and in that process of that, we obtained a letter and secured a letter from Senator Donna Campbell and Texas Board of Education member Ken Mercer, in which they expressed there, and you should have this in your packets, but I want to bring to your attention and read this real quickly to you. We want to make you fully aware of the concerns being brought to us by parents and encourage you to revisit the Draw the Line curriculum to make sure it meets all requirements and recommendations set in statute. Additionally, we hope you will consider implementing a program that emphasizes abstinence only and is far more likely to garner support from parents and higher participation rates from students. And Kelly will get into whether or not this program is successful, but we appreciate their letter, and just to tell you that you're not alone. Parents are being concerned. Your own local elected representatives are concerned as well. Well, back in 2005, or about 1985, excuse me, there was a movement started by a woman named Cecile Richards, who happens to be Planned Parenthood CEO and president, and creating what's called a Texas Freedom Network. And again, this is just fact. You need to know this, but the information that's put out on Texas Freedom Network's website is that they're forming Texas Freedom Network to combat the they call it anti-choice radical policy agenda of the extreme right in Texas. Well, Planned Parenthood has a business plan, and that business plan is to introduce children to contraception, and also and by doing that, they will get kids to consider making unwise choices, unhealthy choices. So in doing that, if they can get kids to have sex early here and then use contraception, they'll end up getting sexually transmitted diseases. In many cases are seeking emergency contraception, Plan B, and then possibly even seeking a surgical abortion. That's a business model of them. So the troubling part of that is that business model of introducing children to sexual activity before marriage and using contraception is very much similar to what Draw the Line, Respect the Line's curriculum is about. And matter of fact, Draw the Line, Respect the Line is produced by a company called ETR. They're out of California. And ETR was originally directly associated with Planned Parenthood. Now they're indirectly associated with Planned Parenthood, probably for many business reasons. But off their website today, actually off their Facebook today, ETR out of California puts out a post that says, birth control has been around for 4,000 years. Isn't it time you knew all about it? And it's a Planned Parenthood advertisement on ETR's Facebook page. This is, as of today, what they call Throwback Thursday. It's terrible, but we feel it's important to know that ETR seems to have the same philosophy as Planned Parenthood's business model. So it's important you know that. So why is that important? Well, Northeast Independent School District has said very candidly that they're not taking all the curriculum of Draw the Line. They're not going to use the props that you saw here in the video. They're not going to use many of the different things, but we don't know all those facts yet. And so in having all those facts we've requested, we're still waiting on that information. But we can tell you on May 9th, when they voted to introduce and initiate Draw the Line, Respect the Line curriculum in the 2016-2017 school year, which is coming up here in just a week or two, is that this is the agenda for that board meeting. And in that meeting, I'm going to read to you real quick what the agenda item was. The agenda item says, this is under page 5, number 10B1. Campus administration, number 1. Possible action regarding School Health Advisory Council, SHAC, Middle School Human Sexuality and Abstinence Education Recommendation. Presenters Donna Newman, Associate Superintendent of Campus Administration and Human Resources, Rachel Naylor, Director, Physical Education, Health and Athletics. And then if you go from there to the minutes of that meeting that came off their website as well, and I'll show you the front of it here, and everybody's welcome to look at this if they like. And what they adopted reads exactly. Possible action regarding School Health Advisory Council, Middle School Human Sexuality and Abstinence Education Recommendation is passed. And so in that, there was no motion made to restrict any of the education props or tools. So they made a motion and passed unanimously. The school board at that point in time, May 9th, has changed a little bit. Since then they've had an election. But the motion was made and passed for the whole complete Draw the Line, Respect the Line curriculum, without restriction, without consideration or exception. So that leads us to believe that they're accepting, and out of fidelity to the Draw the Line, Respect the Line program that ETR has produced, it only would make sense to adopt the whole program. So we're waiting for exactly what they will not use in there, but there's nothing in writing yet. So we share that with you to let you know that another question to ask is, what exactly is going to be taught and not taught that ETR has developed in the Draw the Line, Respect the Line curriculum? So parents, ask yourselves another question to ask them. Again, what is being taken out or restricted from being taught from the ETR, Draw the Line, Respect the Line education curriculum that you passed on May 9th? So thank you very much for your time.